Hey everyone, it's Jason and welcome to Vampires The Masquerade Rivals expandable card game expansion for Justice and Mercy. So this will add our two brand new clans, being the Banu Haqim and the Salubri. As well as some new counters, new crypt cards, all that fun stuff. But of course, we're going to need the core set to play it. Let's hop in and take a look at what our two different clans do for us. So, the Banu Haqim are torn between their hereditary thirst for blood and their passion for justice. Stern agitators, they are fiercely devoted to upholding the laws and punishing transgressors. Many among their number are diabolarists, who will consume a vampire they have been investigated and found to be guilty. These divers perform unauthorized diabolary, excuse me. So if they're defeated with a prey attack, they are burned. This clan fuels their blood sorcery rituals and several aggressive ways to swap blood on their foes. Also, be a judge in hearing tradition. There are no traditions in this set, but they may be found in each of the 6 previous releases. So, it's kind of a neat idea. Like, they're like, hey, buy the other expansions to get these cards. So it's going to be kind of neat, because what they're going to do is basically, if they defeat a vampire, they themselves can then absorb their powers. We'll go over that a little bit more, how that works. But because they're not being, okayed to do it by other vampires, if they're defeated, basically, they're just automatically destroyed. So it's a little risk-reward there. And then the clan Salubri, or Salubri, maybe. The prominent third eye in the middle of their forehead is hard for the Salubri to hide or blend in, have been reduced to just a handful of members. The special property of blood makes them desirable to other vampires. They dare not risk traveling in groups and prefer to spread out to avoid a massacre. To simulate this, the Salubri do not consort with other celebrating rivals, so as not to draw much attention to themselves. To aid in their survival, they are masters of mending and affliction removal via their fortitude and other powerful abilities. So they're going to have a special ability right off the bat, called Solitary. As there are so few of them, the celebrating rivals employ a longer methodology. They dare not risk being seen in numbers for fear of losing half their entire clan in one night. All of them have the Solitary keyword and have the following rules. Each player may only control one vampire with the Solitary at a time. If you recruit a new Solitary vampire, burn your old one. If you control only one vampire and they have Solitary, when this vampire is defeated or sent to torpor, burn them unless they suffer diabolary and they're absorbed. You may immediately recruit a vampire of any clan from your hand at no action cost, paying their prestige as normal. Doing so prevents coterie elimination. They do not gain your leader token. When the vampire plays or places an action card, ready them. So this is what's interesting, because you only get one of them at a time. They get an extra action. They ready whenever you play them, so you're ready to attack or defend or whatever, but you can only have one of them at a time. Now, the way the deck is built is you do have 7 of these cards in there, so if you're just playing a deck with just this clan, you're only going to have one out at a time, no matter what. But if one's defeated, another one can pop up. So it's kind of interesting how to play. But then what you can do is definitely start mixing these with other clans, so that way you have less of a, you can still play the other characters, just only one of these guys. But this bottom part where you get to replace them, only works if they, only one vampire. So if I have them mixed with, clan, the Banu Haqim clan, I have the 2 decks mixed together, I wouldn't be able to use it if this guy dies. Should kind of keep that in mind as well. So the first 2 always apply, even if your Solitary vampire is part of a mixed clan, but the last one only works if you only have Solitary. A vampire in torpor is still one you control. So yeah, if you have any other vampires, they don't get replaced. They're just burned when they're defeated. It's not burned, because you get to ignore that. You just get to use them as normal. They go, they can recover, they can come back. So a Celebri only deck controls only one vampire at a time. They have several advantages to give them a hand against larger coteries, but be sure to have a backup in your hand at all time in case yours is defeated. A mixed clan can have a leader and recruit Celebri without an issue. Mixed clan can recruit a Celebri during the game without issue as well. So a mixed one can go into torpor like any other vampire is defeated. Warning, a mixed clan faction with +3 will be limited in its potential members as you may not control more than one at a time. So if you have 3 or 4 of your 7 are that, you're going to run into that issue of you're not going to be able to play all of them at once. You're only going to be able to play half your vampires. Another term we brought up was diablerist. So we've had this in other sets as well. This allows vampires to absorb the essence of other vampires. Diabolists ply their trade without the blessing of the prince, which makes it unauthorized diablerie. However, they must investigate their intended victim first. Here are the rules for the keyword. When you're diablerist, you'll have the special keyword on it. Defeats a vampire that had +1 blood of your color on them. You may perform an unauthorized diablerie against them. When Diablerist has a prey attack, they cannot perform further diablerie even if they have another card that allows them to do so. So you can only attach up to 1 extra. If they defeat a player while they have a prey attack, burn them, even if they use a separate card to perform the effect. So anytime a card gets another prey attack, you automatically have to burn them. So it's kind of a risk-reward. You gain all these bonuses, but if you get defeated, you lose your character completely. But what the bonus is when you get them, you get +1 blood point, which increases your overall health, and you gain any extra bonuses. So showing on this card here, Alraz, since he already has 2 physical, he gains no bonus. But since his other card hitter's prey has 1 social, and you has none, he gains a social. And since he has 1 more mental, he gains up to 1 mental. So now we technically have 2 physical, 1 social, 2 mental. But he also gains the other 3 symbols on there. So now you'll have 6 different disciplines. So it can be very powerful to use. How do you put blood on another player? You play the investigate, which is just in the base game. You just let me grab that and read exactly how that worked. Alright, as a reminder for how to do this, it says, for example, this is for attacking, but it works the same way. Choose a target in the streets in the Haven. So, to attack a vampire in the Haven, you must have intel equal or greater to their secrecy. Is that what I'm looking for? Intel? Investigate. Alright, sorry about that little, before. I was getting investigate confused with intel and influence. There's a lot of I words. The thing is, I cannot find anywhere in this instruction manual or in the base game that mentions how to investigate. I found it in a future expansion, or one that maybe came out right about the same time as this, the Hunter and Hunters expansion, which lets the Hunters use investigate, which basically says exhaust X number of Hunters to move that many blood tokens to someone else. So basically, I'm assuming it works the exact same way. You just have to exhaust someone to have them investigate somebody else. You can put a blood token from your color from the supply on another character. Alright, so we're going to just kind of leave it at that for right now. Additional rules. Vampire must survive the attack, so you can't defeat them. They have to go into torpor, so you can't burn them. To be able to defeat them. Once you become prey, another copy of the vampire may be recruited. They no longer technically exist. You cannot remove prey from your vampire without a card effect allowing it. Diabler may only be performed on vampires. Performing against a vampire is not defeating them a second time. If the victim is burned, they cannot be consumed. So if you defeat them, you can either absorb them as prey or you can burn them. But if you burn them in any way, whether it's their effect or extra damage, like why my brain can't think of what it's called right now. Aggressive, maybe aggressive. And they also count towards your 3-card limit. Alright, then the other thing we have in here are blood sorcery rituals, which we've seen before. Ongoing action costs 2 actions, but only play with 1 vampire that has blood sorcery. However, if you have an additional vampire with blood sorcery, you can exhaust them. Or 1 additional level, you can reduce that cost by 1. So 2 vampires can reduce it. You cannot combine action and unhosted action. And when you play a ritual card, place it face up in your haven. To complete the ritual, add 1 to 3 blood of your color from any number of characters in play, not in Kapor. If that character in other coteries have blood of your color, you may add blood tokens of your ritual from them. So you can pull blood off of other characters, so you can somehow put your blood on them via investigate is a way to do that. Then you can also steal that blood off of them. Must be at least 1. Since place 1 to 3 of your colors on this card preceded by the icon, the acting character must have blood sorcery. But the more blood you have, the more rituals. However, you cannot pull blood from a character for free once a ritual is in play. There's no limit to the blood ritual may have on it once it's in play. There are 2 rules to keep in mind. You must remove your own tokens from a vampire you control before you may spend or remove other tokens from your vampire. So that means if you have 3 blood on yours, 2 of them are yours, 1 are your opponent's, you have to remove yours first. You not spend blood on the last vampire to pay a cost. This means you cannot remove so much blood that it would be defeated. Alright, so that's basically all that plays. We're going to go ahead and just hop into these guys. Oh look, here's a card for solitary. We got that. Here's a card for Dialburist. When a vampire is keyword defeats a vampire, you're going to attack that 1 color on them of your color on them, you may perform them. Very simple. Attacks, not perform additional. Just very simple reminders. Alright, so let's look at our actual vampires. We have Alaraz Tahir, who says the Dialburist. Party. When an attacker in this party does not defeat their target, place 1 blood on the target with 1 of your color from the general supply. Okay, so there we go. That's 1 way to get them on there. We have Samai Rahad, or Radi, who's also a Dialburist. I mean, not all these guys are. Attacker. If the attacker has an affliction, this attack cannot be blocked. Interesting, so I have to see what afflictions are. Pavel Horik, Dialburist. Attack. This attack deals +1 damage to the target for each blood of your color on the target, and then becomes non-aggravated. Okay, so aggravators thing, but that's a way to get around that aggravation so you don't burn them by accident. Mini, when your rival discards the men during their end phase, including into pour, replace that blood with 1 color of your general supply. These are different ways to get the stuff on there. So I did mention they have that investigate ability, but that might only be on cards that specifically say investigate, which is why I couldn't find any mention of it. It's just weird that you have that as a term specifically mentioned in here in the book, but they didn't say, oh, this is how you investigate. Then to also have villains, or another character that literally has an ability that says investigate. We have Todd. Dialburist, when any character suffers Dialabre, you may put 1 blood from the jar supply on each ongoing card you control with +1 blood on it. Okay, cool. This works towards your blood sorceries then. Xavier, when you play a ritual, mend 1 on a character in your coterie. And finally, we have Mahal Banu. Says when another character in your coterie would be defeated, burn this character instead. Then put 1 blood on another character from the general supply they are not defeated. Interesting. When another character in your coterie would be defeated, burn this instead. Okay, so basically he's going to put blood on somebody else and he's going to sacrifice himself. Cool. Ritual Master. At the start of your turn, if there's 3+ blood on ongoing cards you control, draw 1 card and gain 1 agenda. When a ritual you control leaves play, gain 1 agenda. Nice. Very simple. Ritual Rooms. When your leader deals damage to a character, put that lost blood onto rituals you control. Ooh, so that's fun. So if you defeat guys, you can keep your rituals going. Alright, let's hop into our deck. 3 copies of Accept Your Fate. Ritual. So the first part is Blood Sorcery, plays 1 to 3 blood of your color on this card. I'm not going to read that for all the rituals since it's the same effect. Ongoing, when a character plays a reaction during your turn, they lose 1 blood, then remove 1 blood from this. 3 copies of Blink, Unhosted Action. Attach to a character in your coterie. Attacker, this character has +3 defense while attacking. Lightning Bolt, I don't remember what these are. At the end of this attack, you may move this character to your haven. Oh, cool. So you get attacked, gain extra defense, and then you can kind of hide them back. Neat. 2 copies of Blood Fueled Rage. Physical attack. Remove up to 1 blood from each ongoing card you control, +2 attack for each blood removed this way. Ooh, that could get very nasty very quick. Looks like we have that version of it, and then it almost looks like we have another one there. 3 copies of Call to Purpose. Ongoing, when you play a ritual using only blood from characters you do not control, ready 1 character in your coterie or gain 1 action. Oh, that's neat. And you only have to put technically 1 blood down. That's a pretty cool effect. 2 copies of Cat's Grace. Attach to a character in your coterie and draw 1 card. Letting at the end of your turn, ready this character. Neat. These are ways to attach more cards, which are always fun. 3 copies of Cursed Blade. Physical attack. After this attack, you may attach Cursed Blade to the target. At the end of this character's turn, this character loses 1 health. Oh, a poison effect. 3 copies of Don't Be So Defensive, a social attack. +1 damage for every 2 reactions in your defending player's discard pile. Oh, so still punish people who have a ton of reactions. That's a cool card. 2 copies of Ishtar's Touch. Ritual, ongoing, remove 1 blood from this card. Put a -1 discipline token on target character. Ooh, we did not look at those tokens. So, we have 2 sets of these. Minus discipline tokens. So 1 for everyone except for Thin Blood Alchemy, which only those guys can have. Just lets you put this on there, subtract it, you can remove them. But the other side is we also have pluses. So you can add some, I guess I have them upside down, but you can add additional ones to your characters. And again, we get 2, so we have 2 copies of each. So that presumably not going to be used super often. But that is neat, you can actually eliminate that. So you can put a minus discipline token, so you can, that guy's going to play animals. You can remove their animalism, so they can't play or attack animals anymore. Or get rid of their blood sources, so they can't perform them. That could be very powerful. I also like the fact that it's not clan specific. 2 copies of On the Lam. 1 defense there. +2 defense for each prey attached to the defender. It obfuscate if defender would be burned by this attack. Put them into Kapor instead. Ooh, so he gets extra defense so he can get more prey. Typically, you can only get 1, but there must be ways to get more. But even still, 3 defense is pretty good. And you can keep them from being burned. 3 copies of One with the Blade. Ongoing, remove 1 blood from this. Your attacker deals +1 damage to target for each blood of your color on the target. Cool. So basically get them blood over there, you can hurt them even more. 3 copies of Ritualistic Combat, a mental attack. +2 to antagonists. Yes, let's hurt those antagonists. Blood Ritual. If the target is defeated, the attacker mends +1 for each ritual you control. Yeah, so even if you don't have the antagonist, you still use the second half, or vice versa. 2 copies of Secrets of the Blood. Ongoing, your characters have +1 intel. Remove 2 blood from this, steal 1 agenda from a target full with 9+. That's very helpful as well. Alright, then we have 3 copies of Split Second, Physical Attack. Target's attack, physical attribute does not reduce damage from this attack. Oh, cool, so they can't basically avoid damage from it. 3 copies of Thought Police. Naming attack type, then look at the player's hand and discard all reactions with that type. Ooh, that could be very helpful if you're playing a bunch of stuff. Again, it could be hit or miss, but it could be very powerful. And then our last one are 3 copies of the Warding Circle, which have a ranged physical and mental reaction. Each character in this party has +2 for each ritual you control. Neat. So the more rituals you have, the more defense you can get. Really neat. They play a lot with that ritual effects. There's their 2 deck dividers. Of course, are all blood. Alright, let's look at our second clan, which are the Solitary Salubri. Or Salubri? You have the 3 eyes there. She has a 7 cost. You don't see too many of those. But they kind of need it. So she has, when this character plays or places an action card, draw 1 card. Plus whenever they play one, they also get to reactivate. So we actually do have, so melee control 1 is solitary. If you recruit a new one, burn the old one. If you only control 1, when it's defeated or sent into poor, burn them unless it's separate. Blah, blah. Unless Vampire plays or places an action card, ready them. So with this character here, when the player plays an action card, now you get to ready them, and you get to draw a card, so you can potentially use that extra card you just got. And that's to make up for the fact that you don't have 3 or 4 vampires out that you can keep exhausting to do stuff. So you can basically keep playing cards with them over and over and over. Because I could play an action card, exhaust them to do it, then draw a card with this one. But even the other ones, I could play one, ready them. I could play another one, ready them, as long as I keep doing actions. So it gives you a bunch of options there. We have Anita. This character exhausts me. During your turn, you may mend 1 on target character, including into poor. So this is kind of neat. She's going to work well with herself, healing, because every time she exhausts, you may mend 1. So if you exhaust her by playing an action card, you can then ready her, and she just healed 1. But it also works nice if you're playing with some other vampires clans. We have Ilona, who has shuffle 1 reaction from your discard pile into your library. This character has +1 defense this turn. So you're going to have probably a lot of reactions for that. Baptiste, exhaust men 2 on target character. If you don't control the target, draw 1 card. Interesting. Neat. I think you don't technically control cards into poor, so I think that's part of it. Elizabetta, at the start of your turn, if this is the only character you control, and they were at maximum blood or health, gain 1 prestige. When this character plays a reaction, the affected character has +1 defense. There's kind of 2 different abilities there, but that's neat. Alright, we got Noelle. This character is recruited to gain any number of attachments from a character who left your coterie this turn. Oh, so that way if they replace the other one, they can go ahead and take control of it. And then Meriki. This character has played a reaction, gain 1 prestige. These guys should have a lot of reactions. Army of 1 agenda. At the start of your turn, if you control only 1 character, gain 1 prestige. So again, obviously it's going to be based towards this type of deck, this clan, but you could use it with anybody and just try and sit it out by only having 1 at a time, or having 1 I forgot what clan it was. There's one that likes to have their characters into poor a lot, so you can have some backup characters in there, and this could help you boost that way. The Hermitage. When you recruit a character, gain 1 prestige. If they're Celebrate, gain 2 instead and draw 1 faction. Ooh, I think this is the first Haven that specifically names a clan. which is fine. I don't even have an issue with that. I like the fact that for the most part, all of them have agendas and havens can be used by anybody. They're kind of maybe tailored towards certain groups, but they could potentially be used by anybody. But I wouldn't have an issue like if they made more of these ones are maybe specific towards a clan, gave them specific abilities, because it'd be kind of a neat idea. Because you still get the option to do what you want. We have 3 copies of A Kiss Before Dying. Deal 1 aggravated damage to the attacker. It's a reaction. Solitary, draw 1 card. And Fortitude, you may play an additional reaction. Oh, so this is how they're going to get powered up. So basically, if I react to their attack, I get to deal 1 aggravated, which if it for somehow defeats them, it burns them and it helps me out. If I only have 1 guy out, because I'm doing solitary, I can also draw an extra card, which helps because you want to play as many cards as you can. And then you can also potentially play an additional reaction, which could do more damage to them. And again, only 1 has to be aggravated to burn them. Nice. We have 3 copies of Acuity, which has ranged and mental reaction. Put a -1 blood token on the attacker. So this set did not come with these tokens, but that's because they came in so many of the previous sets. They assumed at this point you probably owned at least 1 of them. If you don't, you'll just have to keep track of it. Solitary, draw 1 card, and Dominate, I believe that is. You may play an additional reaction. Cool. We have 3 copies of Bleeding Edge. Physical attack, pay 2 blood to do 2 additional damage. If you have 2 fortitude, pay 1 instead. That's fun. If you have any of these guys that have doubles of those, yes, she has double. He has double. Lots of these other guys only have 1. We have a couple that have double. Plus, there's ways to give guys other abilities. 2 copies of Blood Dull. Attached to the acting character at the start of your turn, mend 1 on this character. Oh, sweet. Attachment, plus you get free healing every turn. Not a bad thing to have. 3 copies of it. Divisive. Mental attack. Plus 2 to the city deck. Mortals. Discipline, plus 1 for each retainer attached to the target. Cool. So it can work very well with a lot of stuff. 2 copies of it, just in case. Reaction special. May only be played by a character with solitary. You may play this card to aid any character. Target defender in the streets mends 2. I really hope, I know solitary is kind of linked to this clan, but I hope that at one point they make at least a couple other characters, maybe not 1 for every clan, but some here or there, that would also have 1 copy of a character as solitary. So you could use these solitary cards in other clan decks, potentially. We have 2 copies of Kevlar Vest. Attached to the acting character, max 1. This character has plus 1 damage versus aggravated damage. The attack prevent 2 damage to this character. Very, very powerful card. 3 copies of Look Me in the Eyes. That's some neat artwork. Put a fear token on the attacker. Again, don't come with fear because they're in so many other sets. Solitary, draw 1 card, and if you have the eye, you may play an additional reaction. I really like this because you're solitary, you get a lot of these extra draw card abilities. But otherwise, just the other 2 effects are pretty good. I wish I almost would have put solitary on the bottom, just to hey, I can use fear, I can do this, I can do that, but it's probably just how they have that worded. Not ability, keyword, and then discipline. Let's drop these down. We have 2 copies of 2 Minds, mental attack. If you have the eye, this attack does not defeat the target. Ready the attacker. Solitary, gain 1 action if played during your turn. Nice. I'm not sure how exactly you're going to play an action or an attack outside of your turn, but interesting nonetheless. Clan specific card. 3 copies of Search for Golconda. Action attached to the attached to the acting character. If this is the only character you control, you may exhaust this character to pay 2 prestige to gain 1 agenda. Nice. So basically you can use that character to like boost up your stuff. And again, although it's clan specific, it's kind of weird. It's clan specific, so you have to have one of those characters out to play it. But you could attach it to somebody, then play another card and have a different clan, play on a different clan member, and then at some point get rid of one of your other characters. So this could be on a non-Salubri clan member. They just have to get rid of them and be the only one out. But it's not always safe to have them out because they don't have solitary. It's just interesting that it does have solitary. Anywho, 3 copies of Soul Thieving. Attached to target character. When this character is defeated by the controller of this card, they may steal another card attached to the character and attach it to the character in their coterie. Ooh, that could be fun. What if you steal Prince of the City from them? 2 copies of Study Their Ways. Put a plus discipline token on this card and gain 1 action. Ongoing. If you control only 1 character, they gain this discipline and leave it on the card. Oh. Okay, so basically you put a discipline on there. But if you only have 1 character, then they gain it. So otherwise, normally, you maybe set this up again ahead of time. But that's, you see a lot of these use that you may have a character that doesn't have it. Or we had that early card that you required 2 fortitude. You could give any other than 1 character that had 1 fortitude, a 2nd fortitude with this. 3 copies of The Grudge. Social attack, +1 for each of your characters who is in Kapor who has been burned this game. If you have suffered Dialabrate, all of the attacks become aggravated. That's really cool. We have 3 copies of clan-specific Third Eyes, a charm, all types of reaction. If this card defeats the defender, gain 3 prestige. If this attack does not defeat the defender, deal 3 mental damage to the attacker. Nice. So if it doesn't already defeat them, you're probably going to turn around and defeat them with it. And then our last one, we have 1 copy of Unburdening the Bestial Soul. Attached to target character. This character may not perform Dialabrate and deals -1 to mortals. Aggravated damage to this character that would be dealt becomes non-aggravated. Every damage to this character. Interesting. So ideally I think you're supposed to use this on an opponent. So you stop their aggravated damage, make them do less damage. Can't do stuff. Just kind of shutting down your opponents. Interesting. Alright, so then we have their 2 deck cards, dividers. And then we are going to look at our crypt cards, which will add more agendas, havens, vampires, all that fun stuff. So we're going to start with our alternate agendas. We have Good Samaritan. During each player's action, the first time in effect you control removes an affliction from the game, or from +1 characters, or mends 1 character, gain 1. I'm trying to just see. I don't have any cards that specify what an affliction is. Did the book say that and I just missed that? Sorry, you gain, or character mends, you gain +1. Oh, yeah, look at this. We missed this right off the bat. New concepts and keywords. Affliction. New keyword encompasses all tokens and cards so far that represent negative modifiers placed in your vampire. Curses, -1 blood tokens, fear, and new -discipline tokens. This does not replace curses as curses attached to the vampire by our foe. No influencing blood tokens of color are not affliction. Okay, so anything that's negative. We also have curses. Will no longer be printing with 2 or fewer attachments on curse cards. A card's full attached to your characters. However, the rule remains if a max character has a limit, without 3 they can't. Okay, so basically, they're treating afflictions are tokens that get attached to your opponent, as well as curses. But curses are any cards that get controlled to your opponent. Interesting. Solitary, Galvarus, we already said. Um, Discipline tokens, we didn't really go over, but we kind of mentioned. Just basically grants them. Other tokens, were not included, and Prey. Alright, so we kind of went over all those. So actually, again, it's just a minus, a negative a token or card attached to your opponent. Or your character. We have Traditionalists. At the start of your turn, if you control +3 different traditions, gain +1, or gain 1 agenda. When you play a tradition, gain 1 agenda. So that's neat, because there's the different ones you have to find. And this is kind of a neat idea. Doesn't necessarily, like, bolster any of the other characters in this set, or clans, but it does work as an overall good one. We have Haven the Castle. Discard 1 card to mend 1 blood on target character, including Tapor. Mend 2 instead if they're in Tapor. If the target is only character in their coterie, draw 1 card. Interesting, so solitary. And then the High House. When you play a tradition, draw 1 card, reduce the cost, the perceived cost of tradition you play by 1. Okay, so this works with the traditions very well. And I think this is kind of supposed to be like, again, I don't know if it's really meant to like directly affect one or the other of the groups, but I don't think it's neat that that is. It would have been interesting if it would have been in a different set though. Alright, but we have some new Salubri, we have Amara. When you mend a wounded character, you may discard a non-title, non-wraith attached to that character. Interesting, so you can get rid of a curse that might be on them. But it might just be worth getting rid of something you put on them so you can play it later. And Kashi, when this character exhausts, remove 1 affliction from target character. Interesting. For Banu Haqim, we have Naomi, who has a Galvarus attacker. This attack deals +1 damage to target for each different ongoing tradition you control. Oh, cool. So this is where they want the traditions. They're going to work well with this particular character, as well as this one. Seisman Nowick has when you play a tradition, draw a card. Cool. So they do kind of link up with some of these characters. You just needed those. Alright, so first we're going to look at the cards that are the additional 1 or 2 to finish off the 3 sets of cards we have. So you've already seen these, so I'm not going to reread through them. We have 1 Blood Cruel Rage, 1 Cat's Grace, 1 Ishtar's Touch, 1 Just a Taste, 1 Kevlar Vest, 1 On the Lamb, 1 Secrets of the Blood, 1 Study Their Ways, and 2 copies of Unburdening the Bestial Soul. So this finish off, we have 3 of each card. Then we do have some brand new ones. We have 3 copies of Final Judgment. Action, deal 1 social damage to target character for each ongoing tradition you control. Discard X traditions to do +X damage. This is really neat. I like the traditions as an idea, as a concept. It's really cool that they're kind of building a deck type around them. Again, though, I kind of think that since there was nothing previous that had anything to do with that, I wish this would have almost been like extra cards in like an expansion. Like the city deck cards for Heart of Europe has Crypt adds more cards. This I think would have been a little bit more beneficial in there, because it would have been like, this is for anyone to use, versus this clan, can use these, but it's not really specific towards what they're trying to do. But we have 3 copies of Obia, which is ongoing action. Ongoing Relentless Exhaust. Target character, if you have the Eye in your coterie, you may remove 1 affliction from the target. If you have the Fortitude in your coterie, you may mend 1 wound if they're wounded. Nice. So healing one way or the other. 3 copies of Righteousness. Mend 2 on target character you control for each ongoing tradition in play. Nice. And then our last one is you have 3 copies of Rules Lawyer, Social and Mental Reaction, +1 for each ongoing tradition you control. Yeah, so a bunch of extra tradition cards. You can make a little tradition deck out of this. So I'm not going to argue. It's definitely cool to have that. Alright, so there we go. We have the Vampire The Rivals Justice and Mercy expansion, which adds a solitary idea, which is very interesting. The Banu Haqim, which have them dial bursts, which again are just as risky to play, because if you're getting prey and you lose, you also now burn that character. So gaining an advantage by taking over your opponents, but potentially losing your characters, and then you're going to have less and less to be able to play. So kind of like different aspects of the same risk to play as cards. The tradition thing was neat. The minus tokens are really a kind of neat idea as well. I like those just as the fact that you could like put them on your characters even outside, just so maybe a reminder if they gain a bonus from a card. Hey, this guy has plus this, just as a reminder that it goes with that card. So physical 3D thing versus text on a card is kind of a neat idea. The only downside I would say to this set overall is that it has a couple of things that require other expansions, because it doesn't have the fear or the minus BP tokens, which again you could just get around with a token or remembering somehow. But it also has all the stuff for traditions, which are spread across 6 other sets. So you have to basically buy all the other sets to be able to even use the extra cards in this deck. So it's nice for people that collect everything, but it might not be recommended as your first expansion to purchase. Alright, that's what we have for this. Hope you guys enjoyed. Check out the other Vampire the Masquerade Rivals expansions. See you later. Bye.